This is A Few Good Fights, proudly brought to you by the MMA Movement. I'm your host, Noel O'Keefe, and I am joined, as always, by Robert Palin and Sean Taylor. On this week's show, we'll have the big MMA news. We will fight your corner. We'll be looking ahead to UFC, ESPN 2, Barboza and Gaethje. We'll be educating young Sean, and we will have Sean's weird and wonderful news. But let's dive straight into the big MMA news. UFC on ESPN Plus 6, Thompson versus Pettis went down this weekend, gentlemen. Let's start at that main event. Rob, we were talking, and Sean, we were talking during the week about this fight, and you actually put in the WhatsApp group, Sean, you were like, does anyone give Pettis a chance in this? And I wrote back something along the lines of, nope, Wonderboy, whenever, however he wants. Boy, were we wrong, Robert.
I want to get my comment on it there. I'm not sure exactly what I said, but do you know what it was? And I just for, we didn't make picks coming into this, but I would have picked Wonderboy to win. I'm not going to pretend I wouldn't. But after watching the fight and in hindsight, because everybody looks in hindsight, it really was one of them fights where you had two guys coming in who are really, really good. Like, Pettis is an excellent fighter. And we kind of had this back and forth with a lot of people when Pettis was fighting Tony Ferguson. And everyone was saying he has no chance versus Tony Ferguson. We were saying, actually, he has a good chance against Tony Ferguson. Now, I didn't think it was as close here. And I think the fight up until the knockout proved that, because Pettis didn't really land the glove. But it really felt like one of them fights where something like this was going to happen, because nobody gave Pettis a chance. Everyone was saying, it's just an easy win for Wonderboy. Pettis is done. And then Pettis goes in and does what he does. But it was interesting to see how one-sided it was, in a sense, up until the finish. And that's not taking anything away from what Pettis done. That was a phenomenal knockout. But it was quite one-sided up until the actual finish.
Incredibly one-sided. Sean, what was your take on it, looking at it?
As one-sided as it was, Rob said, the mad stat was that Pettis landed 5 head strikes. And 3 of those, one was the knockout, and then 2 were the hammer fists on the ground. So the rest of the fight, the only success he really had was the chopping up Wonderboy's back leg. Yeah,
the leg kicks were really, really good, I thought. I thought his work for the legs was good.
I was watching it, and me being my stupid analogies, I was sitting there thinking, okay, right, so let's think about this. Like, when you buy a piano, you go to well, not that I've bought a piano, but if you buy a piano, you have to go and it has to get tuned up. And I was like, basically, Wonderboy is tuning up Pettis in this fight. He was picking him apart, landing shots. I think a little bit of why he got knocked out sounds silly to say why it happened. I think he had a 10-second clapper. He landed a couple of combinations, a couple of shots to sort of keep Pettis at range. He knew the bell was literally seconds away, and he let his guard down briefly for that second. And when you look like the knockout, because a couple of people have said to me, it looked like there wasn't that much power behind the shot. But when you look at somebody, I don't know who took the picture, but it was an incredible picture of the shot as it was landing. And as it was actually landing, number one, Wonderboy's head movement was non-existent at that moment. But number two, he was actually completely in the air. His 2 feet were off the ground. So he had no pillar, if to absorb the shot. Like, I don't know. I'd actually love to, if Brendan or someone could tell us this. I would imagine your body takes the shot a lot harder if you don't have a post on the ground, or you're not earthed, like electricity. If you're not earthed, you don't have a feet, you almost use your legs as that anchor.
There's no resistance
when you get hit,
there.
You go, and
there's no resistance.
So he took the full power of a Superman hook. And then the shots afterwards, as someone said to me, them shots after him, I said, yeah, but they were more painful for you than they were Wonderboy. Wonderboy didn't feel them. But and it was weird because Pettis, like, he's just knocked out Wonderboy, somebody who has never been knocked out in 80+ fights. Like, so he just knocked him out, and fair play to me, got him, like, I'm in the top 10 and stuff. But, like, realistically, like you said, picking that fight, if this fight was matched tomorrow to happen next weekend, I'm picking Wonderboy.
I'll pick Wonderboy again. Again, that's not taking anything away from Pettis, but I do think what you said is an interesting point, that Wonderboy, the way he was in the air going back, and that's kind of a negative of his style, because once he kind of gets into range, his defense isn't a high guard or head movement. It's to get out of range. And when you can't get out of range quick enough, we've seen it in the air. We've seen it with Tyron Woodley, who caught him in a. It wasn't the same punch, but it was a similar situation. Tyron Woodley backed up against the cage, and Wonderboy trying to be aggressive coming forward, and then he gets caught. And it was similar with Pettis. It seems like when Wonderboy plays the aggressor and he plays the kind of guy going forward, he's not as good as he is playing almost a matador.
And to switch and talk about Pettis,
Yeah.
he's really changed his style of fighting, hasn't he? He's almost become this walking
Yeah,
forward.
like Diego Sanchez with better striking.
And at one stage, he sort of like blew his nose out and just had his hands down and sort of took a breath and just start walking Wonderboy down. And you said actually as well, coming up today, like Wonderboy doesn't fight his best on the front foot.
No.
When he has to lead the dance, he doesn't do his best work. But interesting to see where he comes back out of this one, because it was a weird one. I think everyone had sort of said, like, Wonderboy with Woodley losing the title, it really puts him back in the title picture. And then, you know, he gets knocked out by a 55er. But interesting as well, this is 2 main events in a row now, Darren Till and Wonderboy, where everybody's opinion was he's too big for his opponent.
Yeah.
And I don't know who said it on Twitter. Somebody said it on Twitter, saying, you know, fighters don't give a fuck about 15 pounds. Do you know what I mean? As in it, that weight class isn't that big. A fighter is a fighter.
Chael Sonnen had a video up after, it was actually after our show, because I thought it was funny because this was something that we were talking about and something I mentioned, that going into the Darren Till and Masvidal fight, you asked me, you said, is the size going to be effective, or is it going to be a difference? And I said, yeah, it's going to be there, but I don't think Masvidal's style is something that size, or Till's style is something that size really plays into, because he wasn't wrestling him, and he doesn't wrestle. Like, it's a huge factor if there's a guy going in there like Brock Lesnar, who's a wrestler and who's strong and who's huge. That's a big problem. But when it's 2 strikers fighting, I don't think size is a huge
I think in this fight, the
factor.
size I thought was the bigger factor, because how Wonderboy fights at such range, and he can keep his,
length
and
is different though.
He
But
was
like
doing a lot of side
size,
kicks and working the body. Like, he was tuning up Pettis, and I was sort of looking at going,
He looked great.
he'll finish him in the 3rd round.
Yeah, he looked great.
And that's what I was thinking. I was looking at 3rd round. This will be the end. But
vicious knockout.
You said it before, Noel, with the if you play the rope-a-dope long enough, you're going to get hit.
Yeah, and it's like when you like, it's. I'm not saying. I thought they even called it out in commentary. I think DC said it. They noticed that Wonderboy was a lot more active in this fight, and it said it was Masvidal said it after knocking out Till. You know, Darren Till puts himself in the position to knock people out, but it puts him in the counter to be knocked out, and that's exactly in a way what happened. But it's the mid-air, you can't move your feet when you're floating.
Yeah,
and that's what caused
you'd have to wonder if it was almost the build up into this fight that caused Wonderboy to fight in that way.
Yeah.
And again, this
had to look good.
Yeah, it's not to take anything away from Pettis, but the fact that Tyron Woodley has lost the title, a big win for Wonderboy there, really puts him back in the title equation. So he was probably thinking, I'm in there against a smaller guy. He's not going to knock me out. You know, I have a good chin. He's proven that. So I'm going to go out here. I'm going to be aggressive. I'm going to try to get the finish. And it almost backfired on him, you know, or what it did backfire him on, I guess.
Yeah, definitely backfired.
I don't think Pettis is a 170 guy, but I do think there's some good matchups for him at
It's
170
fun.
because there's a lot of guys who are sort of tweeners between 70 and 55 rather than the tweeners like Till who are between 185 and 170.
Yeah, and I was thinking about this in the fight as well, because I thought the exact same thing. I don't think Pettis is a 170 pounder, but like kind of what we said, like weight isn't the biggest factor. I think matchups is the biggest factor, and it really depends on where the worst matchups is for a guy.
Put it this way, Pettis, Usman.
Well, yeah, Usman's gonna win that fight.
But that's what I mean. That's what you got to compare him to, isn't it? That's what you know.
Yeah, but you think if Darren Till stays there, you think Darren Till, like people at the top, well, Colby Covington could be a tough fight for him. Like all them wrestlers could be tough fights. But what I mean is, like, you see guys who are like rejuvenated by a move in weight class, and I don't think that is generally because of the weight. I think that's because of the matchups. Like, some fighters just fight worse against some guys, and it's not even like wrestler or striker, because you could come up against a striker who has a great single leg, and maybe you're just terrible at defending single legs, but a guy with a good double leg, you're fine, or good takedowns against the cage. So it's not just like, oh, this guy's a wrestler, he's going to win. It's what type of wrestling is there, because Pettis is good at defending takedowns against the cage, but if you try to take him down right in the middle of the cage, usually he can't defend that. So it's kind of it's a weird one. But yeah,
Curtis Blades got back in the win column at the weekend as well, and he done it in a real dominant fashion. It was like Justin, there's nothing you can say. He basically said, you can't wrestle, I'm going to shout it, and he shouted like for 15 minutes. He absolutely
if you watch the first round, you could probably just replay the rest of the fight, because it was the first round was the fight.
I only caught the last round, but you told me that it was basically the
same thing. Yeah,
but
just out-grappled him.
For Curtis Blades, this is always the interesting topic in this. Is that the style of fight that the UFC are going to want to push? Because if you look at Blades, like, he'd wins over Alistair Overeem and Mark Hunt recently, and then he fell and got knocked by Francis Ngannou. So they were talking about him as him being the next big thing in heavyweight. But is that style fighting as like I can appreciate it for what it is, and I honestly think he just wanted to adopt that and really show us what he could do. He
needed
a
win
ground.
there, yeah.
But like, is that the type of win that get him back in title contention?
I don't think so. Like, it was a great performance, you know, against a guy who was not the best fighter in the world, but it was still a great performance for what it was. And he needed that. I think the worst thing would have been him going in there trying to strike and maybe getting caught. So yeah, it was a very, very good performance for what it was, but I don't think it's putting him back in the title picture. He needs to beat somebody at least in the top 5. Doesn't have to be that impressive because heavyweight is super thin anyway, but
he didn't even himself, like, he was interviewed by DC and he didn't even try and make any beef with DC. Who do you call it, Junior?
Yeah, it's quite weird, isn't it, considering, like, I was thinking that, like, he said Junior, Stipe or Alistair Overeem. Did he say Overeem again?
I'd say Cormier was kind of like
Cormier's going, like, I'm right here, like, I'm the champion, like.
Yeah, he could have made a moment.
That could have been a perfect moment. Like, can you imagine, like, any other fighter, like,
his security were there as well.
Imagine John. Well, that's, I think, just because there was a little bit of bad blood.
Yeah, but they were kind of just between the two, between DC and Curtis.
But can you imagine, like, if that was like John Jones interviewing somebody, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Dominic Reyes, who said whatever about him, you know what I mean, or whoever. Like,
that was hilarious, though, wasn't it? Because Reyes was kind of like, I know that wasn't great. I'm still gonna do the call out that I was gonna make.
Yeah.
But
I love Jones's tweet. I'm still in the same place I've always been waiting. I haven't gone anywhere.
Very good.
Then this was the one that if you wanted to stick the kettle on, this was the fight for you, John McDessie. No disrespect against Pineda. Oh, Jesus, it was a sleep fest, wasn't it? To the extent, to the extent that Rob, you actually fell asleep watching this.
I fell asleep. Yeah. So you get about 3 or 4 early cards in the year, and I decided to fall asleep during this one. To be honest, the fight just started. I was falling asleep already, so I don't blame this fight, but maybe it didn't help.
Blame the fight. It was just... John McDessie, he fights the style of fight that his opponent, he really lets his opponent set the tempo and fights to that. Like,
that's
so
right,
he's the sort of guy that fights to the level of his opponent. Like,
he's generally fun though, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. Yeah, like his fight with Ross Pearson was excellent. Yeah. But that's because Ross Pearson is fucking his game as fuck and just wants to like throw bones at each other. Do you know what I mean? So McDessie was happy to oblige in that case, but it was a sleeper. He got the win, unanimous decision. There was absolutely no doubt about it. Yeah. But it was,
that's Abel Trujillo, Ross Pearson, and now Jesus Pinedo.
But that's what I mean. Like, it is a run, but it's sort of taken away by the type of fight it was.
Yeah.
Now people are probably going, "Hey, you got the win. What are you talking about now?" But yeah, look, listen, I thought it was an absolute sleeper. Formiga came into this one as the number 1 ranked flyweight, and yet he was the underdog against Figueiredo in the big power puncher. But I gotta say, Formiga, that's probably for me his best performance in the cage. I thought it was absolutely phenomenal.
It was very impressive.
He sort of lulled him into the strike change levels, got the takedown, and then sliced through him with his moving position, moving into full mount on a couple of occasions, landing big shots. Got badly cut from the bottom though with an elbow. But yeah, I thought Formiga looked absolutely phenomenal in that fight.
Yeah, he's not like the best striker in the division, but he's certainly getting better. He used to just be a grappler. I remember watching him years ago in Tachi Palace when he fought Ian McCall, and he's pretty much just a grappler. And it's cool to see him now kind of developing that striking game where he can actually stand on the feet with a dangerous guy before he gets those takedowns. But yeah, it was a very good performance. Kind of exposed the weaknesses in Figueiredo's game, which I think we all knew were there.
Yeah.
But he'll get better as well. He's still a good fighter and he's exciting to watch. That was a tough fight for him, but it was a good performance. Yeah.
And it'll be, as you said, like I think it was said in commentary as well, it's great having that knockout tool, but you can't just... Do you know what I mean? It's like turning up on a building site with a hammer. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're only going to be able to hammer things. Do you know what I mean? You're not going to be able to do other things. Do you know what I mean?
Take out nails if it has a little thing on the back of it. Yeah.
Claw.
The claw.
Don't worry. I'll get you, Rob. Rob's not very manly. But yeah.
It's not very handy.
It's it is going into building site with one tool, and that's essentially what he's doing. So if you can negate that tool and get him to get away from it and take him down and make him work on the ground, that's going to number 1 tournament. I just thought Formiga's game plan was spot on. Moment of the night for me was Luis Pena trying to say an extra thing into the microphone, and DC just doing
I missed that post-fight interview.
No.
We're just like, no.
phenomenal. They were going to. Did you see the clip of the little kid blindfolded doing
I did.
score kickboxing, and the father comes in from the army? So the UFC had it set up, a promo set up. They were in attendance, that family. So they played that.
I seen that.
So DC knew that was coming.
Right.
So he knew he was out of time. So he gave him his interview. He said whatever. He apologised for missing weight. Luis Pena, really sorry, yada, yada, yada. And then DC was like, "Yeah, winner, Pena." And he went to walk up and he went, "Oh, no. And DC's going, no, it was just, that's a gift. Like, I can guarantee you within the next week or two, you will get that as a gift.
Let us know in the
your
comments
phone.
if you have this as a gift. If this is available on the interwebs,
yeah,
put it in the comments.
100%. But yeah, Stephen Pedersen, to actually get to the fight, had sort of said, you know what I mean, Luis Pena, the violent Bob Ross, that's a gimmick. He's a legit fighter. He's there on merit, while Pena is there because of a gimmick, essentially. But I thought Luis Pena looked good. Would I like to see him mix up his kicks a little more. DC was calling for that in commentary. When he did do it, when he stayed at range, he was really beating them up. But yeah, excellent performance by Pena. In post-fight, he said the reason he didn't kick as much is because he thought he'd try and catch his kicks or whatever, and he wanted to work on with his boxing. But excellent performance by Luis Pena, and highlighting like that DC little walk away. Yeah. Phenomenal. Macy Barber. What do we think of Barber?
Second round, great performance. I think.
Aldridge,
I think the commentary, if you watched it, kind of summed it up. She was having a problem fighting
like
from South.
Cormier knows what he's talking
about.
Yeah.
She was having a problem fighting from Southpaw, because she kept throwing these kicks that kept getting countered over the top, and Aldridge had these really good straight punches that just kept landing, and it was almost like, you know, a coach should be like, stop throwing that fucking kick.
She was like, set it up with your hands.
Yeah, she kept throwing it. But yeah, once she kind of came forward, when she was the aggressor, which is what she does best, she put in a really good performance. And that finish, like, there's not many fighters in that division, or even in any of the female divisions, that is vicious and is smells the blood in the water and finishes that quickly than Macy Barber. So I thought that was really, really impressive. And, you know, you can kind of, you can not nitpick because that first round wasn't great, but you can look at that and say, you know, she's not going to be a champion soon because of that first round. But I do think, especially with the post-fight interview, when she said, no, there was loads of stuff there that I need to fix, I think she's smart enough to go back and look at that. But then also good enough to have a bad round and come back, because she got dropped twice.
Yeah, what I noticed the difference between the two fighters was Aldridge was having it when it was all going her way and she was landing her straight shots, while Barber, she was kicking but not setting it up and getting caught like a Pez machine.
More
every
flashy,
time she'd do it.
less basic.
And so Aldridge was coming forward doing that, and then the second round, when she allowed Barber to be on the front foot, she crumbled under the pressure. Like, when she got caught, she got hurt, and you could see her shell up and she didn't want any part of it. While Barber, you could see, although she was hurt, she was like, no, still a fighter in this.
I also think,
I think Sean, I go just while you're going to talk, I want to ask you to do something. Will you go on Topology there for me and just get up Macy Barber, because I want to show you the screenshot of her actual picture. The guy in the background just looks like he's like an extra from Night of the Living Dead or something. It's phenomenal. Just put it on the screen in a minute. Sorry, Rob, you were going to say
this. Just throw on that, I guess.
The internet's gone. Can't do
it.
It's phenomenal. If you're listening now, go onto our
Topology
page. It's absolutely phenomenal. Like,
yeah, check that out. I also think as well, those shots, it was a lot that it was a kind of a situation where Barber was really unbalanced on those shots, rather than in the second round when the big shots were happening. That was more impact as well, I thought. So.
I said it to you, like I said, and it's a little disrespectful in some ways, but when the going went tough, she got going. And like the shots, no doubt the shot was landing. You got to give it. And Barbara, as she called it out, she said once you see fighters when they hurt somebody and they don't jump on that. And she said, I wasn't going to make that mistake. Go on, Rob, treat yourself there and have a look at the Night of the Living Dead there, Barbara. It's phenomenal. And jump out on you on the prelims.
On the prelims, Sean, you watched most of the prelims.
I liked Bryce Mitchell. I enjoyed his interview with DC as well. Afterwards, it was fun.
What did he say in the interview? I missed that one.
He's just a big hillbilly, really.
All right.
And because they'd been commenting on the commentary about how he won't go to a bigger camp. Say he's staying at home in Arkansas, I think it's called.
Yeah, Arkansas. Yeah.
And basically his whole interview is about he had a bit of a chip on his shoulder about staying in Arkansas, and he's not leaving. He's going to get to where he wants to be by staying at home. It was cool. I like him.
Sweet.
Moving on. TJ Dillashaw. has been suspended for 1 year due to adverse finding in his drug test. He vacated his title. USADA have confirmed they are currently investigating the finding. So Dana White obviously is targeting a fight to replace this, but a lot of talk is Henry Cejudo against Marlon Moraes for the title. But TJ, just to talk on him first, Conor McGregor's tweet was fantastic. He said something about the lines of the new St. Patrick, getting rid of all the snakes. Funny. Phenomenal tweet, Conor. Well done. But TJ Dillashaw, my thing with this is, right, it's ironic that it was the fight that he got knocked out in, but doesn't it, or I'll ask the question, does it throw his whole career? Because remember the great interview where Cody Garbrandt you showed everybody the right intentions. Yeah, you showed everybody in Alpha Male how to do steroids. You're like,
do you ever see like those comedy scenes and then someone says something and all you hear is their whistle, like because nobody wants to say anything. That's pretty much what happened.
Uriah has said something similar about lads doping, and it's like, that's your gym, man.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's insane.
Yeah. You taught us all how to do it.
It does though. It definitely throws his career into question a little bit. Like, you can have your own opinion on doping and how much it actually improves your abilities, but it does.
It doesn't build your chin up.
No.
How likely do you reckon it was a weight cutting?
Yeah, diuretic.
Yeah, that's
what I was thinking. But the thing is that it's very interesting that, obviously this has to run its course and stuff like that, but he's come straight out first before all the news broke.
USADA wouldn't have said anything only for TJ announced it himself. Yeah. Because that's the new policy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Which makes sense because like I like the new policy from USADA. Essentially, if you don't know what it is, it's they don't announce somebody who was potentially failed. Like they need to actually confirm it before they release the information. But a lot of the time, especially if somebody gets pulled from a fight, it's something. So a lot of the fighters actually come out and say it anyway. Yeah. But I still like the policy. Just on TJ, and we kind of had a few days to think about this. It's not surprising, and this isn't like a judgment on TJ as a person because I don't know the guy, but it's not surprising that somebody who's as competitive as TJ Dillashaw, like he seems like the most competitive person I've ever seen. If you ever listen to interviews, if you ever listen to other people talk about how he is in the gym, apparently he's a nightmare to train with because he just hits people after sparring ends, and we've seen videos of it. Apparently he's a nightmare because he's just so competitive. It's not surprising that somebody like that is trying to find an edge. It isn't. It just isn't. Like Lance Armstrong, who was like one of the most competitive people in the world. It's not surprising. I know it's different because everybody's on it there. You can argue that everybody's on it in MMA.
Well, yeah, like...
But it's not surprising that somebody with a huge drive and just so, like, crazy competitive that will take some kind of shortcut. It's not surprising. But that's not on him. That's on, that personality type as a whole.
Well, I think you only feel that way because you look like Cody Garbrandt, so you got to get your boys back.
Well, apparently TJ taught him how to do it as well.
Yeah,
so watch out.
They're all injecting each other's ass.
Just gonna point out, it looks like the flyweights are staying around as well.
Yeah.
Because Dana was saying so it was Cejudo.
So he was. The big culty head. Yeah. Dana was saying so he was. Go on, sorry.
That was.
He was saying that Cejudo and Moraes for the bantamweight title, and then Benavidez and who will be
Benavidez and Formiga who fought this week.
That will be a backup for that fight, but also a number one contender for the flyweights.
What?
Isn't it peculiar? Have you got to worry for the likes of, well, not worry, but think for the likes of Jose Shorty Torres and stuff like that, who up and moved and got pushed and was told it's gone.
Yeah.
Like he broke that with like himself, like saying I was told it's gone.
Yeah.
So it's interesting that they've. But again, is that because Cejudo saved the day and knocked out TJ Dillashaw?
There's a storyline there now.
Yeah, but it also means that the flyweights are around for now. If Cejudo goes out, wins the bantamweight title, it's quite possible that they say, just vacate your flyweight title and we'll just get rid of it now. It is possible.
Yeah.
But
is it the right fight to make though? Is there not enough push for bantamweights to be?
Absolutely not. Cejudo, it made sense for Cejudo to go up and fight TJ Dillashaw.
Yeah.
But that super fight didn't really make a whole lot of sense for him anyway because he didn't really defend his title.
So who do you throw in? Who's your
Marlon Moraes and
Sterling?
Maybe Sterling, yeah. Like there's plenty of people ranked in that division. Marlon Moraes though, he definitely deserves it, 100%. But Like, what's the reason for Cejudo to go up? The only reason is that the flyweight champ came down, or the bantamweight champ came down, and he beat the bantamweight champ at the time. But I don't think that's merit enough to go up and fight for a vacant title
against someone else. Yeah,
it doesn't make sense.
The storyline was there with
the story, exactly. There was something there, you know.
Yeah. Do you think the loss of Aljo to Moraes could cost him a shot?
Yeah,
it
especially how it was
a bit of a freak. It was a bit of a freak. He went for the kick, caught him with the knee because Aljo was dying. Well, freak is unfair. No, beautifully timed.
It was beautifully timed, and it was convincing.
So what? Pedro Muniz after his good win.
Yeah. Doesn't talk enough trash.
You could do a four-man tournament there, like put them on cards beside each other.
But Moraes, he beat Garbrandt, who was the champion previously.
Yeah.
So
here's the thing: to be fair to people who say this is the right fight, we're talking about here and we're kind of like, you could put him in, so we are having that conversation, but it still doesn't mean that you should put in the flyweight champ to fight for a vacant title.
I don't think you have to fill the belt straight away either. Like you could face the
guys
Sean
off. Has to be on a card as a title fight. I think Muniz is probably the best show.
They're just holding out before Dominic Cruz to come back so we can give him a title fight.
Yeah, that's in fairness. Dom could come back. It's fucking crazy news actually for Dom. Crazy with the circumstances. Rafael dos Anjos, Jesus no, and Kevin Lee are set to meet in the main event of UFC Rochester on May the 18th. It's at 170. And we'll be happy with that fight.
I like the fight a lot, and I like that it's at 170. Finally, we have Kevin Lee moving up to 170. I'm not sure what Dos Anjos' weight cut is like to 155 because 170.
He spoke about it, didn't he? That he looks so much better at but he's obviously things haven't gone his way in his last couple of fights. But
a lot of people are calling for him to go back down, but I have no problem with him staying at 170. He seems healthier and he's still competitive there. He might not win a title, but he's still competitive there, and he probably won't win a title at 155 anyway. But I'm really happy to see Kevin Lee move up, and it's kind of a good first test for him at 170. Not against a huge guy, against a guy who was similar to him, went up and is now, I guess, in a better position in terms of his health, and hopefully Kevin Lee will be. But it's a great fight, really good.
What do you think, Edson? Are you happy with it?
Yeah, I really like it. Kevin Lee should have moved up a while ago, in my opinion. When he was fighting Tony with staph infection, I thought he was going to move up after that fight. There was talk of it at the time, but he didn't. He hung around. Had a good fight with Iaquinta. But yeah, happy. I like that fight. You
start to notice though a trend, don't you, when fighters they drop a couple of fights that they go, it's time to get the move up. That maybe they if you look at Kevin Lee right up until the Chiesa fight when he fought Ferguson, then Barboza beat Barboza and then lost to Iaquinta, he's probably thinking, fuck man, you know what I mean? I'm depleting my body, but while you're winning, you don't notice that, you know what I mean? You have to. It only comes up when you have losses. Going, fuck, it's because of my weight. While when you're winning, you just go. You just keep trucking on and suffer. He's probably not suffering any more than he was.
Sorry, no, I was cutting across you there. Can I put something to you regarding the weight cut? Do you think fighters use that as a bit of a crutch sometimes for losing, and they might use it with the weight cut?
I think the naturally bigger guys, there's evidence of fighters having success when they move up.
Or do you think they're maybe masking the fact that there's some technical issues that they need to work on?
I do think it's to some ways it's the point that I'm making. As in, you look at Max Holloway, right? Like Max Holloway is on an absolute tear at 45. If he goes up, wins the interim title by beating Dustin Poirier, and then fights Habib and beats Habib, do you know what I mean? You're there going, he's not good. No way he's gone back to 45, but he's winning and winning and winning at 45. So the suffering is worth. Do you know what I mean? The juice is worth the squeeze because he's putting himself through hell to make that weight, but he's the champion of that division. While if he starts getting a big success at lightweight, he's like, I'm not coming fucking back down to 45. But if he was to be unsuccessful at lightweight, he'll make that suffering cut again to go back down.
I think cutting weight changes a lot of things for people as well. We had a previous show called, obviously, Fight Talk, if you didn't know, if you're a new listener to this new show. And we had Aljamain Sterling on one time. And one of the questions that we asked him was, how does the weight cut affect you on the week? Because it's not something that people really talk about. Because if you're cutting weight and if you're a serious weight cutter and that's what your last week is, just cutting weight, there's no technique talk, there's no there's obviously no sparring anyway, but there's nothing about game plan being spoke about there. It's all about nutrition, cutting weight, and dehydrating yourself. that takes a week of preparation versus somebody who isn't doing that. They're cutting a little bit of weight maybe, but then they're focusing on the game plan. They're looking at tape. They're studying their opponents. So that probably changes a lot as well for people, having that extra week of preparation while the other guy is killing himself.
Yeah, I agree. Sticking on the matchmaking part of the news, we have Raging Al Iaquinta taking on the Cowboy Cerrone. So yeah, this was when this got announced. The Cowboy is dropping back down to 55. So we're talking about the other way. I know he's fluctuated between and he's come down and gone up and come down, but he's back and he's back in his home at 55. But what do we think of this one? Iaquinta coming off an excellent win over Kevin Lee that we just spoke about, but Cowboy coming off like big wins off Mike Perry and Hernandez. So this is a fun fight, and it's one that I think if you asked me after the Darren Till fight, I'd be picking Raging Al all day.
Yeah.
But Cowboy just looks rejuvenated, and he seems to have figured out. Remember, we used to constantly say, I wonder what version of Cowboy will turn up on Saturday night. He seems to have got that right lately.
Yeah, I do agree with that. He looks good. I don't think he's back to his best, and I don't think he's going to win a title. I know he's been talking about that. That's his final goal. But I love the fight. It's brilliant. I'm a big fan of Al Iaquinta, the way he fights, and I think if you look at his resume, it's definitely aged very, very well with the win over Jorge Masvidal. And of course, Kevin Lee was a great win. A very good performance against Khabib Nurmagomedov, who nobody puts in a performance like that, and we praised him at the time, and it looks even better now that he went out and beat Kevin Lee. Cowboy, he's coming back up, but as well, just the personalities. They're two guys who, like, they don't talk trash. Like, Al Iaquinta doesn't talk trash. He just kind of says what he thinks. And
he doesn't talk trash, he talks shit.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and there's a difference. There is a difference.
There is,
he talks shit when he feels like there's a reason. Like when he fought Khabib, there was none of that. When he fought loads of guys, there was none of that. There's going to be a lot of respect here, but I think they're going to be talking to each other in there, and it could be really, really fun.
I think it's a similar style thing to Till Masvidal. They're both fighters. They're both mixed martial artists, and they're just going to turn up and like knock lumps out of each other and probably have a beer after. And like Raging Al probably like try get him, let him a nice condo or something in New York or something. You know what I mean? Cowboy will bring him to the ranch.
Yeah, imagine Cowboy living in a condo.
To be like absolute respect, by the way, it'd be like Crocodile Dundee, wouldn't it? Like,
yeah.
But to be absolutely respect until the cage door closes. They'll absolutely tear the head off each other, and then they'll be good pals after. Like, and
it's a cracker.
Absolute. That's a fight fans. Top fight, that's like an excellent fight.
I fucking love the fight. There's gonna be so much violence in that fight. I fucking love it.
Yeah,
that's a nice simple way. I thought you were gonna go for that.
I think early pick. I'm gonna go.
I'm not going in there. I'm not playing this game right now.
Right now, I'm leaning towards Raging Al. Just early on. That probably will change, but we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. I'm the same. I'm leaning that way.
I'm not saying. According to Chael Sonnen, Ariel Helwani told him that John Jones versus Stipe is being considered as a real possibility. It would see John Jones make the move up to heavyweight. So do we like this? Considering a certain DC turned 40.
I think we've talked about loads of fights here, and like kind of my answer was I like the fight. Like I like all
you
these.
You sort
fights.
of like fighting, right?
Yeah. It seems like I like fighting. It's a really good fight for Jones's first fight at heavyweight because it puts him against a former champ. And it's also a smaller-ish guy, a guy who is similar to Jones in a way. Like they both can wrestle and they both can strike. In that way, very different fighters. So it's fun. I like it. And Stipe seems not to have he seems like nobody really. He's been matched up with him. He wants a title fight. What's the next best thing to a title fight? John Jones coming up as the light heavyweight champ. There's nobody really at light heavyweight I'm really that interested in seeing Jones fight. If you could just have John Jones come back and fight, and I say, there's Thiago Santos, there's a good contender. It'd be fun. There's Stipe Miocic at heavyweight. Yeah. Which one you're taking the heavyweight Stipe Miocic?
Definitely.
No,
and I think that no disrespect to the likes of Thiago Sanchez and the likes of Johnny Walker
Santos.
and all them. Santos.
Thiago Sanchez.
Thiago Sanchez, yeah. But I think they're all, and it's weird to say he's a prospect because he's like mid-30s. Do you know what I mean? Not a prospect. But they're not at the John Jones level.
No.
John Jones is going to get in there and beat him.
Spoke about it so many times.
I know we were sort of saying that like with our thoughts with Wonderboy Pettis, he just gets in there and beats him up. But like John Jones definitely gets in there and beats the shit
and it's like Thiago Santos deserves it based on who he's beaten and who else is in the division. Yeah. And I'm not taking that away from him. And one of these days, if John Jones fights all these guys who are really good fighters but not his, not up to his level, someone will catch him.
This reminds me. I was about to say, this reminds me. John Jones reminds me very much so the run that Anderson Silva was on.
Someone
I think
will
they're very
him.
comparable.
Yeah.
And like it'll be the day that he'll do something and he'll get caught. You know what I mean?
It's MMA, 100%.
Yeah, that day will come. It could, it can happen overnight. It could be his next fight. It could be 5 fights down.
But half the story is going in and actually believing that someone can beat him. And him against Stipe, you're going to believe that someone like Stipe could beat him, and it's really, really fun and interesting.
In other news, Sean, what have you got for me?
Nate Diaz was on Instagram today.
Oh, he's always on Instagram.
Yeah.
Not as much as Nick.
No.
Yeah, we know
just
you
at
love
the club.
So Diaz came on and he said, "Where's Khabib at?" I'm quoting here roughly. He said, "Where's Khabib at? I already slapped him about. I already beat McGregor twice. P.S. Dustin Poirier is a pussy." And then the Instagram video is like a montage of Diaz fighting for when he fights.
Fighting for what?
Sorry,
fights.
I lost the ability to speak there, but it's him fighting.
It's him fighting, so it's actually in the cage. Like it's
doing clips. Yeah.
He has actually stepped in the cage before.
Yeah.
I don't believe it. I think it's a myth. I think it's like a unicorn. A Diaz brother fighting MMA is like a fucking mythical unicorn nowadays. I don't care. He's just
I just think it's
relevant.
funny though. It is funny that the last line is just pure Diaz. Just like, was it P.S.
Dustin's a pussy.
Dustin's a pussy.
Yeah.
It's just pure Diaz.
But like,
it's funny.
I like when Nick Diaz is in the cage, but like you can only talk about it for so fucking long.
We should have
they're
a clip
trying
of
to
this
stay relevant. It's 100% though like McGregor. Like McGregor right now is saying fight coming soon.
Yeah, I know,
he's standing
Just
on a bar.
fight.
He's telling everyone, you know what I mean.
And he wants to fight Floyd Mayweather again.
This post would be a lot funnier if he was active.
Yeah, it would be great. Yeah,
exactly.
It would.
Active.
Yeah,
and
no one would appreciate that.
Yeah, like fair enough. Connor's actually suspended. He said expelled. He's suspended at the moment. Like so, yeah. Grant that comes soon. But Diaz, like he has fights. Fights were lined up. Like
he's still suspended.
And he's I think
like even Nick was due to fight Jorge. Do you know what I mean? So like just fucking
Nate
get in there.
And now Nate's saying he wants to fight at 185 because he's just too lazy to cut weight. Like come on, man.
Yeah.
But like look, Diaz's are fun. They say funny things, but like just bucket of fucking salt because they ain't fucking fighting. Do you know what I mean? And that's they ain't fighting.
Yeah. Did you see any news yourself?
Yeah, it was interesting actually. Cage Warriors have announced Cage Warriors 106 in London. They're calling it Night of Champions, so they're obviously going to have a lot of title fights, as the name would suggest. But they've opened the first one up as Herbert versus Grant for the lightweight title fight. So for me, this was interesting. First thing I seen when I seen it was, Rhys McKeague just got overlooked, and Reese had said after his latest victory that if he doesn't get the title shot, he's moving up to welter.
Yeah.
Now, Joey Herbert, phenomenal fighter. He's 8-1. That one belongs to Rhys McKee. Rhys McKee finished Joey in Bama. First round in Bama. That was in Dublin as well, wasn't it?
We were there.
We were there.
We have an interview.
We interviewed Rhys.
Yeah, check it on the channel.
But yeah, for me, interesting one. Like he has gone undefeated since then. But I thought Reese was an absolute shoe-in for the title. So I sort of messaged Reese and I was like, what's the crack, mate? It's Jesus, I just seen the news or whatever. But he's basically said he's moving to, potentially his next move is up to welterweight and stuff like that. It didn't confirm or whatever, but he said, thinking about that was the move. Yeah. That's why he suggested. So I would imagine that's going to be... He was quite... political in his reply to me.
Oh, was he?
But yeah, I just thought it was interesting a bit. And Cage Warriors, I'm very interested to see their champions who they matched them up with. I'd say James Webb could be on it as well. Again, being the fact it's back in London. But yeah, Jay Herbert got the shout ahead of Rhys McKee, which surprised me. Did it surprise people listening or people watching Cage Warriors?
Yeah,
let us know. But in the news world, jump you, Rob?
A huge one, yeah. Ronda Rousey is headlining the WrestleMania main event. Just saw that there. Just thought you would know.
Against the Irish girl, is it?
I don't know. Probably.
Can't tell us half the story.
All right, I'll go find it because I know everyone's very interested.
MMA podcast, Rob.
Yeah. What do you mean an MMA podcast?
No,
we're slowly turning into a WWE podcast.
Slowly,
yeah, I think so. Triple threat. with the Irish girl. And no, but really,
Don't know what that means.
Soren Back and Dean Truman booked for the featherweight unification bout with Cage Warriors 106.
Oh, that just
Yes,
there.
that just dropped.
Oh,
It's on MMA Fighting, so I assume that was P.T. Carroll doing his work.
Petey
I assume.
doing his things.
Yeah.
Mr.
It was
Eurobash.
P.T. Carroll. Well done.
But yeah, Back looked great in the
Yeah,
last
yeah.
one as well. It was a tough fight as well. Looked fantastic winning the title against Jesus Christ. Who did he win the title against?
Paddy.
Paddy Pimplet, that's right. Yeah, he looked great and it finished Paddy with a
Yeah. Call for the UFC.
yeah, absolutely. Called for the UFC, and now he's a two-time champion now, a
Yeah,
two-weight
yeah.
class champion. So yeah, Soren Back's an absolute killer. But that's the big MMA news. If we've missed that, and sure, it's what stands out to us. So that's the main thing.
Don't be so aggressive.
Yeah, no, but there's so much news every week.
Yeah, I know,
and
yeah.
it's old news. Like TJ was last week.
Yeah, but we
basically.
had to talk about
Had
it,
to
you know.
talk about it.
Snakes in the grass and all that jazz.
Yeah, the new St. Patrick. Fight your corner. This is Fight Your Corner. Sorry if I blew your eardrums a second ago, but just to give a quick summary of this because it seems to confuse the odd listener. Fight Your Corner.
The odd listener.
Yeah. Fight Your Corner is right now, it's going to happen right now, but me and Rob are absolutely unaware what we're going to be speaking about. So we're going to do rock, paper, scissors right now to decide who is pro the subject. So who agrees with the subject. You may not agree with the subject, but you have to argue the point that you do agree with the subject.
Yeah.
And if you lose, you're against the subject. So you have to argue again. You may not agree that you're arguing it, but you have to anyway. So that's the idea. So rock, paper, scissors a start. Sean gives us the idea. We have opening statements. We have back and forths. We have a closing statements. Sean is the referee, the executioner.
The judge.
He does the lot.
Yeah.
So when he picks Rob, he's wrong. When he picks me, he's right. And Sean also may have an opinion on the subject, but he has to try and bury that and
it's
just
on the
listen to
arguments.
the argument. So, rock, paper, scissors on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
Okay. 1, 2, 3. Oh, 1, 2, 3.
Oh.
1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. I knew he'd buckle. Yeah.
Why did I buckle to the paper though?
I knew you changed your mind.
Fucking
Yeah,
idiot.
considering I done
Yeah.
scissors 4 times.
The people who are listening now are very confused. All they hear was 1, 2, 3.
Oh, yeah.
So
Fuck.
it was
That's
scissors.
a gif.
We scissored each other 3
That's
times,
wrong.
and then I went paper.
Yeah, so I have done the scissors 3 times,
Yeah.
and Rob thought I'll change it to paper.
Yeah.
So Noel is pro the topic and
Yeah.
Rob is con.
This didn't work out. I believe Pro has lost twice.
Shit.
I'm going to reveal the topic on screen for the viewers, and the audio listeners will get it in a second. So, Cheltenham was on recently, lads.
Fucking horse racing.
Yeah.
So it's not an MMA
No.
podcast. It's not a WWE
Right, come on.
podcast.
Cheltenham
Horse
was
racing.
on.
Cheltenham was on recently. If you've ever listened to someone analyse a horse race, they very much look at previous form, how the horse is raced, certain ground, certain whatever, weather, stuff like that. MMA mats. Is it a thing? Yes or no?
Does it work? Do you mean?
So hold on. What's Pro and what's not?
Is it a thing? Yes, it's pro.
So does it work?
Yeah.
MMA
Is
mats
it
works.
applicable?
Okay.
Is MMA mats applicable to, like, can I look at a fight and say, okay, they've both fought this guy, he fought him under these conditions?
Okay. Okay, that makes sense.
Because it does get a lot of shit, MMA mats.
It does, yeah. Remember Neil Siri give you shit over?
Neil Seary proper gave me shit over it, yeah.
All right.
Okay, so last time I actually threw to you, so I'm saying yes, MMA mats is. So I'll actually go first.
Oh,
so
very nice.
I will go
Very
first on
kind.
this. So MMA mats, it gets a lot of shit, but it is form. As Sean said with horse racing, with any sport, it is form. So if you're looking at 2 fighters, I think it does belong within a threshold or a time though. I think if, let's say, a fighter fought somebody 5-6 years ago, I don't think it's relevant then. I think it's on if both fighters are following the same sort of path and they're on like similar records, similar style, as in they're on 3-4 fight win streaks, or if they're on 2 or 3 fight losing streaks and they have shared a similar opponent. I definitely think it would be ill-advised to not look at that fight and take that into your consideration and take that into your breakdown and analysis of a fight, especially if they're susceptible to certain attacks or certain style fighters. For example, some fighters wouldn't do very well against a wrestler. So if you're looking at, they shared a similar opponent where a solid wrestler fights against them, and you can look at what they've done to stop that, to try and reverse situations, and use the opposite fighter then, what he done, if he implements that game plan too, how did he stop it, how much success he was having that. It's the same with range management, with distance management, with landing strikes. It works in a certain way, as I said, if you go further back. So I do think in some ways I'm disagreeing with my own point, but I'm agreeing that it is relevant in time. The same way in any sport, football, anything like that, if you look at, we'll say American football or soccer, if you look at like Manchester United have played Wolves two games ago, and we're playing Liverpool this weekend, and they played Wolves. You have to look at how they played against them, how they set up against them. So the big thing is the tactics that they used against the same opponent that you have shared, to see can you use that information against them, and can you implement a similar game plan to what you used against that shared opponent. It's all stats, it's all numbers, and it means nothing in a fight or when you're judging a fight, but after a fight it all comes down to stats and what's happened when you look at how you both dealt with an equal opponent, how you approached the fight, and how you dealt with their attacks against you, both defensively and offensively. If you look at the likes of, we spoke about Darren Till and Cowboy Cerrone and Jorge Masvidal and Cowboy Cerrone, you can see how fighters, they have shared opponents, they have different results, different ways of finishing, but to use the threats of a similar opponent to see how they react to their threat and their attacks, it's common sense to use that, Mats.
Cool.
Rob was Googling loads of examples.
I wasn't. I was just writing down stuff that you were saying. So obviously MMA, Mats, doesn't work for a number of reasons. The first big reason for me, and the difference between say like MMA and other sports, is that MMA in its nature is like extremely chaotic. And what I mean by that is that you have so many different aspects of the sport. Of course, you have like striking, you have wrestling, you have submissions kind of go under grappling. But under striking, it's kind of something that we talked about on the news, is that not only you have striking isn't just a one thing. It's multiple things. You could have a kickboxer, you could have a taekwondo fighter, you could have a boxer. You have so many, and in those then you even have a smaller macro levels of, you know, a boxer who is good with a jab, boxer who is a good brawler. So there's so many different things to look at. And then people change as well. So if you were going to say MMA Mats work, and I know you said it doesn't really work long term, but especially with young fighters, people change so quickly from fight to fight. That saying that X beat Y just does not work. It doesn't work, especially, as I said, because of how chaotic the sport is, because of how many different things you need to look at. And people do well against different styles and do worse against other styles. And I really don't think many fighters are identical to each other. So if you look at, say, if Edson Barboza fought Justin Gaethje is a great brawler, but then say if Diego Sanchez comes in and fights Edson Barboza, you can't compare Justin Gaethje with Diego Sanchez, because they're completely different brawlers. They might be brawlers, but they're completely different. I think there's too many aspects of the sport that you have to look at, that saying one guy beat this guy and another guy is fighting this guy, it just doesn't work. It doesn't work. It's too chaotic. And as I said, people change, even fight to fight. I think it's even a small gap, even one camp can change a fighter. But I just think the fact that MMA is so chaotic, you can't really compare it to other things like horse racing.
Open debate now, lads.
Yeah. What you've said, you can't compare fighters to fighters. I'll give you an example of what I think MMA Mats works beautifully. Fighter being the fighter that used MMA Mats, Dustin Poirier. Opponents, Justin Gaethje, Eddie Alvarez. So Eddie Alvarez fought Justin Gaethje, and in the fight, you could see Alvarez and Gaethje had it. It was one of the best fights. It was, I think, it won like fight of the year or something, didn't it? It was up there. But they literally stood toe to toe and just tried to break each other, and that's essentially what happened in the fight. And Eddie Alvarez broke Justin Gaethje in the third round. So Dustin Poirier, to bring him into the equation, he had seen the fights, he'd seen the style, he had fought as the equal opponent. He's seen these two guys fight each other, and he thought, I can outdo what you have done to each other. I can outlast and outbreak the two of you. They were more brawling style, while Poirier came into the mats of these a trifecta of opponents using the mats, and he used his more crisp, cleaner striking in the fights that allowed him to get victories over these opponents. So the MMA mats in that sense works from taking fighters in a trilogy, or it can be 4 or 5, 6 fights of different opponents, and you can take different aspects of your performance or their performance against each other, and use that mats to. It doesn't necessarily have to just be one fight or one shared opponent. It can be what I implemented in fight A that I can't do in fight B because my opponent, I've seen him deal with this against Justin Gaethje, that won't allow me.
But I don't think that's MMA mats. That's looking at guys and looking at, this guy is a good striker. He done well in this aspect. That's more study. MMA mats.
Shared opponent is MMA.
No, generally MMA mats is he be him, so he should be him. That's what MMA mats is. MMA mats isn't looking, he got outstruck by this guy, so let's do what he done. That's strategy. MMA mats doesn't work in a sense that if you look at, say, here's one: Chael Sonnen, Nate Marquardt, Damian Maia.
Mm-hmm.
Chael Sonnen lost to Damian Maia, triangle choke. Nate Marquardt beat Damian Maia. Yeah. And then Chael lost to Damian Maia. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's confusing. There's a lot of all over the place.
So, you would have said that Chael Sonnen, okay, I'm going to mess this up. I'm doing this on the spot. Doesn't work. Give me an example of when you could pick out somebody.
Justin Gaethje beat.
Yeah.
Justin Gaethje.
There's way more examples.
Eddie Alvarez. Dustin Poirier beat Eddie Alvarez, so therefore Eddie Alvarez beat Justin Gaethje, so Dustin Poirier can beat Dustin Gaethje, and that's exactly what happened.
I suppose.
No, that's exactly what happened.
Yeah.
Alvarez beat Gaethje.
Yeah.
Poirier beat Alvarez, so he can beat Gaethje. It's exactly what happened.
Yeah.
That's MMA mats.
Yeah.
It's exactly what happened.
That's one example, and it was a bad decision of me going for examples, but if you look at the examples of who actually beat who and in MMA mats, there's so many more examples where it didn't work. You can pick out one or two where it did work.
Where Eddie Alvarez beat Gaethje.
That worked.
Right,
yeah. But as your argument is that you can look at fights and you can say this strategy worked against him, so I'm going to employ that strategy. But it's MMA mats isn't that. That's strategy.
It's your shared opponent. So you can only use the MMA mats from your shared opponent. I don't think you can just pigeonhole to because you beat A, you can beat B. It's part of what you've done against A.
But that's not MMA mats, though.
MMA mats.
No,
it's MMA algebra.
That's not MMA mats.
2x minus 2A.
If you ask somebody what MMA mats is, and we can ask Sean. Sean's the judge. He can define what MMA mats is.
If you can beat a guy, you should beat the guy who beat the guy.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's what Dustin Poirier done again.
Yeah, but you're not saying it that way. You are giving examples of. He done well in striking, and
that's the shared opponent. That is still MMA mats.
No, but you were saying if you look at
if you've defeated somebody, and I defeated you, no, I'm just using that one because that's the one I pulled up. It was freshest in the mind. Yeah. But when you do that, you can then go ahead and you can pick parts of the MMA mats from your shared fight with the shared opponent. So it's not just cause I beat you, that I'm going to, or cause you beat him, I'm going to beat you because I've beaten him. It's not just as simple as that. There is little facets and side branches to it.
I agree with that.
You've done this against this guy, and I've done this against this guy. I had success, and the whole idea of Poirier, his thing was, I can break you. And that's why he done to both Eddie Alvarez and Justin Gaethje.
I agree that you can look at fights that they both had, and you can look at what someone done against somebody, but that's not really MMA mats. That's looking at what they're good at. Because I could look at those same guys and say, look at fights that were completely irrelevant to those other guys and say, he actually is good at breaking people.
Another example,
that's not MMA mats.
Top of my head, John Jones, he beats everybody who everybody beats. So that's MMA mats.
Very good.
Khabib Nurmagomedov is another example. Oh, you beat a guy and I beat
That's
you.
not MMA mats. So you're stretching the.
I'll beat him
You're
too.
stretching the definition
I'll
of MMA
beat
mats
him
quite.
too.
Yeah, you're not
So,
talking about MMA mats.
That is though.
That's a point deduction from not talking about MMA mats.
No, I can beat whoever you've beaten, because I've beat him already, so I'll beat you, and he's beaten you, so I'll beat you.
Disagree.
Joseph Duffy beat Conor McGregor. Khabib Nurmagomedov will say, "Yeah, I'll beat you because I can beat Joseph Duffy."
It's a terrible example.
It's just he beats him.
It's a terrible
He
example.
wins every
Khabib beats
time.
everybody.
I'm going to give it another minute. If
Doesn't
you
beat
want
the
to.
dessert.
Tiramisu. Closing
No,
statement.
but honestly, MMA mats for me, it does work. But as I said at the start, because I knew you would try and say overtime. Of course, it doesn't work overtime because
Well, yeah.
the sport is evolving so much. So that's why I'm looking. MMA mats works within reason. If you look back at a 3 or 4 fight equation, it works then. Otherwise, it gets watered down. It doesn't. So I'm not going to say it 100% works because that's incorrect. That is incorrect. But it definitely does work looking back 3, 4, 5 fights.
Rob, final statement.
That was closing statement.
Yeah, that was
Yeah,
simple.
MMA mats doesn't work, and like I think you're saying it doesn't work over time. I'm saying it doesn't work at all. Especially in
I
that
gave you
example,
3
I messed up that example. Well, didn't mess it up. It was
You did mess it
It
up.
was the right example. It did. Nate Marquardt beat Chael Sonnen.
He's going again with it.
Yeah. So that's what happened. So I
Closing
messed it up
statement
there,
was
but it
quite
actually
easy,
did.
no?
It actually did work. But it's not just over time. You can
Say
take
you
so
were-
many. You can
Did
take
mess
so.
up because you were flustered, or?
No, because I done it on the spot. We don't have time to prepare, so I was trying to look on Wikipedia.
Yeah,
But it does work.
it does work. I agree with you. MMA mats.
No,
does
no, no,
work.
it
There you
do-
go. We just said it.
The example I gave does work.
MMA mats does work.
MMA mats didn't work in that context, and it
Yeah.
doesn't work in many contexts. And you've admitted many times that MMA mats.
MMA
doesn't
mats
work.
works.
It doesn't.
You just said it yourself.
Is this a final statement or what? Am I getting argued?
Yeah, can you let him finish his closing statement?
You're just dragging it on. You're bringing on about your
I'm not-
last
I'm-
point.
You keep interrupting him.
Yeah. So it doesn't work over time, which you admitted, and it doesn't work not over time. It doesn't work in a vacuum either. The sport is just too chaotic for it to work. Just people are so different. You can't say like if you take one boxer and take another boxer, as in like wrestle boxer or something, they're so different. Even if they're a similar style, and even if guys have fought that guy, we've seen it so many times. It just doesn't work. And over time, as I said, even fight to fight, guys change too quickly. And also not even over time, and not guys changing on the night. I could have a chesty cough going into a fight, and the next day I couldn't have a chesty cough, and that can
has
affect
nothing
it.
to do with MMA
I
mats.
could have a broken arm. I could have staph. I could have anything, and that's going to affect the fight.
If my uncle didn't have balls, he'd be me auntie. Ifs, ands, and buts. Do you know what I mean? You can't.
That makes no sense.
Just
I
like
thought this
your
was
argument.
I thought this was a closing
Sean,
statement.
wrap it up there.
Yeah, that's
will
it.
I thought that was a closing statement.
Awful
That's
stuff.
it, lads. That was a bit of a brawl, that one.
You were
wasn't it?
Yeah.
flustered as fuck there. You were all over
I
the
messed
place.
I messed up on that example. The example does work. Check it on Wikipedia. But
now we're finished.
yeah,
Finished
just
now.
no, because you were saying over my closing statement.
Very competitive.
Yeah.
I thought Noel started off with a very valid point. I'm struggling with a decision, so I'm going to outline a few bits here first while I try and make up my mind. I thought Noel made a very valid point that it works to an extent, but it's not something to be relied upon.
Because I knew he was going to shit in that.
I thought Rob made a very valid point about how chaotic the sport is, and within each discipline you have macro elements within them. Then he fucked himself right up with his example.
The example works though. Just check it out. I just said it wrong.
Stop talking across the
The
judge.
example does work.
You'd be in contempt of court if you'd done that anywhere else.
Yeah, I thought it was very back and
would you.
forward. For every good point, there was a counterpoint. For every counterpoint, there was a counterpoint. Yeah, I'm struggling with a decision on this one.
Just remember at the start, Rob was stupid enough to go with paper, even though we went scissors 3 times. That should be a part in this decision.
You shouldn't be talking over. You're
That's-
talking over my closing statement. You're
that's-
talking over his
that
judgment.
point is inadmissible as well.
Yeah,
Um,
that was terrible.
yeah.
Although I could, yeah.
No.
I think I'm going to give it to Noel.
Bullshit. Absolute bullshit.
Rob flustered himself.
Yeah.
I was very much leaning towards Rob when he made the points about how chaotic the sport was, but he, to be honest,
you went and you Nate Mark caught it.
But it works.
to be honest,
it
Rob,
works.
you fucked yourself.
And
It
come
does
here.
work though.
Fuck.
I don't disagree that your point
Yeah,
works, but
yeah.
You were flustered.
yeah.
You were all over the
this is a-
shop.
This is a debate.
Yeah, I should have went Tapology. It's better layout.
That's what I went.
Wikipedia,
Yeah, I'd say.
man.
Yeah.
Oh damn it!
I was on Tapology. I thought I got my dates wrong as well. He fought him and then he fought him, but it wasn't.
Yeah.
And by the way, I have to openly say, MMA match does
Fucking
not
does not
fucking work. Not
Yeah,
a fucking
I agree.
hope in living hell. But
I thought Rob, to be honest, should have won that one. It was a bit of a comeback. Well, not a comeback as in.
told you.
Rob
Gave you a gimme week one. Week one. I
Rob
said, let
left,
him
his
have that.
Rob left his hands at his hips for too long.
Yeah.
You got Wonderboy.
That was a good one. I
You
enjoyed that one.
you were leading the fight and Superman hooked you. I definitely thought when I heard that, because
Nate Marquardt.
Rob had said it to me, we have to not at the start show your actual opinions.
Yeah,
at the
yeah,
start.
yeah.
And when I got your pro MMA match, I was like, for
Yeah,
sake,
inside.
I'm never winning fucking rock, paper,
Yeah.
scissors again. And that's the first time someone who's won rock, paper, scissors has won.
I don't have a massively strong opinion on that one either. I personally will tend to look at a card, look at prices, and then work backwards. That's how I tend to.
Well,
make
yeah,
picks.
I will look at form.
I do agree that like it works in a like if someone beats somebody, you have to look into it, but it doesn't mean that they're gonna win.
Yeah.
Like there is something there.
I think
like.
they're similar style fighters to each other, and they've shared an opponent. It's foolish not to look at
Yeah,
that
yeah.
fight.
But it doesn't mean
to
by
put your,
itself it doesn't work.
For example, if you were to now look at Anthony Pettis and pick an opponent that Wonderboy has beat,
Yeah.
you're not going to say,
No,
well,
no,
Pettis
no.
beats him.
No.
And that's what your fucking argument should have
And
been.
like we were saying with Pettis, his style has changed so
That should-
much as well.
That should have been your argument straight away. You telling me then that Showtime Pettis beats
did
all
want-
of Wonderboy's
I
opponents.
did want you to bring out the Dustin one.
Yeah.
It was in my head when you started.
Yeah,
about
yeah.
how people change and stuff. The Dustin one was hanging right down.
Yeah, true.
I just thought
Fucked it up with Wikipedia.
I thought Eddie Alvarez Gaethje was a good one because it was just like they've shared him and he beat the brakes off too. And I'm Poirier, so I got out last year. But yeah,
Sure.
do you agree? Do you disagree? Because funny, I agree with Rob. He just went about it a little wrong. I'm actually surprised, Sean, you gave it to me, but I have to say you're a very fair judge,
I think
Sean.
my
Very
reason,
unfair judge.
Very
like,
fair
Very
judge.
unfair judge.
I judged it on the debate, and I think Rob lost the debate. Like,
I'm just less aggressive. I don't threaten him if he doesn't give me the result.
I don't threaten.
just means I'm coming back.
You
next
just
week.
plant some
Intimidate.
seeds. Just remember, if you don't say me, you're terrible.
Yeah, you're off the show.
Picking no one means I'm coming back next week.
Let's keep it rolling. Let's look ahead
I'm from
to
Summerhill.
UFC ESPN 2. Goes down this weekend. Let's talk fights. UFC on ESPN 2 goes down this Saturday night. We have got Edson Barboza taking on Justin Gaethje as your main event. Let's start it there. It's a weird fight in some ways because, and by weird, I say that as weird, it's going to be an incredible fight, like.
Yeah.
But it's going to be interesting because you had Justin Gaethje coming off 2 bad defeats against Eddie Alvarez and Dustin Poirier, then got a win back against James Vick, and then you've Edson Barboza, who the one criticism they'll always have about Edson Barboza is he tends to tire as the rounds go on and later goes on, and Justin Gaethje is like the fucking American werewolf. He seems to get stronger as the fight goes on and the more you hit him. But is that the simplistic way of breaking this fight down, or there's a lot more to it, but is it that simplistic that you can say that's how this fight's going to play out? If Barboza doesn't finish him, Gaethje will take over 4 and 5.
Maybe, I don't know, like Edson Barboza in his last fight done a good job late. Not even late, like mid. You could clearly see he was slowing down, but I thought his work to the body and his work to the legs, which the legs he always does, was really, really good. But Gaethje is a different animal in that sense. Like it's not that he doesn't look. He gets stronger in a way because I think once the other guy starts to get slower, he kind of can see that and he kind of comes on stronger. Even though he does gas out himself at times, probably because he takes so many shots.
Probably.
But it is interesting that Justin Gaethje and Edson Barboza coming in. You kind of know what both of their game plans are going to be. You look at Justin Gaethje, he's going to come in, he's going to scrap. He has wrestling, but he doesn't really like to use it. He admits he doesn't really want to use it. Not sure why. He wants to be exciting. That's probably the only reason. And his style is effective against most guys he does fight. And then Barboza, he's good. He's not that great going backwards. He's really good going forwards. And he opens up nice long with a jab, and then he'll throw leg kicks, and he'll continue with them leg kicks until somebody puts pressure on him, and then he backs up. And that's where I can see Justin Gaethje having success if he can back Edson Barboza up, because Barboza sometimes will go backwards and get caught with trailing hooks, and I can see Gaethje having some success there.
This fight for me, I'm gonna go weird route here, Rob. It's like an 80s or 90s, like blood sport or something. And Justin Gaethje is, the real American. His shirt is an American flag and it's ripped open and he's sipping on a Budweiser. He turns up the fight and then he fights the flashy real martial artist.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And that's not, I'm not saying Gaethje's not a martial artist, but do you know what I mean? He's the real, you know, he's just naturally gifted.
Yeah.
While Barboza is someone who dedicates his whole
Classy
life.
striker,
Yes,
yeah.
classy and smooth. He's silk, and Gaethje is like Primark pennies gear. You know what I mean? But it's he just has that knack of walking through it. But I just think that knack isn't the knack you want in this fight. If you are allowing Edson Barboza to punish them legs, to punish the body, and then switch up height, you're just asking to be knocked out. And I just think Edson Barboza is going to be too fast. Gaethje walking down, coming in to land shots, he'll kick the leg, the standing leg from front of him, knock him to the ground, doing that. Gaethje will keep coming forward. The thing is, will that break the will of Barboza? I think in this, Barboza is going to be too clean, too crisp, too on point. And I think he's going to finish Gaethje in around 3, similar style to the Daniel Hooker fight. I just think he's going to get the job done. He's just going to be too classy. But I'm not going to be surprised if Gaethje gets a shit kicked out for 3 rounds and then wins.
I think if Gaethje would use his full skill set, I think I'd be picking Justin Gaethje easily in this fight, because he's a nightmare matchup for Edson Barboza. If he comes forward with his strikes, closes the distance, gets close, gets a clinch, and gets some takedowns, and then mixes up his striking as Edson Barboza gets tired, I think it's not an easy fight for him, but I think it's a good fight for him.
To use MMA maths, Rob.
It's a good fight. Well,
if you use the Habib and Kevin Lee style fight against, like, they utilised their wrestling to tire them out and work that way as well. And Gaethje has that, and it sounds like I'm almost putting Gaethje down, but that's the style he likes to fight. He likes to have that slobber knocker style fight, and fuck, I like watching them. But I just think if he fights that fight here against Barboza, it's clinical striking.
My counterpoint to that is that if Justin Gaethje can take it a little bit deep, so take it maybe 2 rounds, 2.5 rounds, go deep. No, that's coming. April. I think he has a great shot here, because I think as Edson Barboza gets tired, he gets less classy, gets less technical, and he will brawl with people. He brawled with Dan Hooker, and Dan Hooker's legs were just too chewed up. And the great thing about Gaethje is Gaethje kicks the legs very well as well. He does, his leg kicks are phenomenal.
I think there's a slight. A slight is even, I think it's bigger than a slight in speed. So much speed.
I think early, and not even early, I think early he's likely to get caught. But also, you know, with spinning attacks later on, he can get caught as well, because he does leave himself open. But I'm going to go Justin Gaethje, just because I think he's going to smother Edson Barboza's techniques, not with wrestling, but with strikes. And just get him up against the cage, or at least get him close to the cage, and just not allow Edson Barboza to land the shots that he likes to land, the front kick, the spinning back kicks, even the leg kicks. I think he's going to be coming forward too much for him to do that. I'm going to say Justin Gaethje. Wouldn't be surprised either way, but I'm going to go Justin Gaethje to win by a stoppage.
Mr. Taylor?
Myself and Rob were speaking earlier, and I said that this card is very well matched based on...
speaking without me?
Yeah,
briefly.
You were busy actually doing the work compared to us two.
Sounds about right.
So I said that this card is very well matched, because I had a look at the odds. I didn't obviously tell him any, but Justin Gaethje...
Rob already knows.
Justin Gaethje is 5-4, and Edson Barboza is 4-7. Rob's delighted with himself.
Didn't pick a favourite.
Broken clock.
Unbelievable.
I really want to pick Gaethje, because I love watching him fight, but I'm struggling. I'm leaning towards Barboza on this one.
Boom.
Fair enough, yeah.
Edson Barboza.
It's a wouldn't bet on it. Maybe say stoppage or something.
I probably will.
Yeah. Lovely.
Common event sees Dave Branch taking on Jack Hermanson.
So torn in this fight.
It's a tough one.
So torn on this fight.
It's a very tough one. Because you can argue, since Branch has come into the UFC, it hasn't been going all his way. There's a lot of hype, rightfully so, about him coming over, but he's gone loss, win, loss. Now, in fairness, he had the likes of Jocko and then Luke Rockhold very quick, you know what I mean? So
Luke Rockhold, though, he hurt Luke Rockhold in that fight.
Yeah.
And
when you think about his win over
long
Santos,
right hook,
fantastic now.
Yeah. He hasn't lost against bad fighters. He's lost against really good fighters. I'm really torn on this one. Originally, I'm going to say who I'm going to pick in it, but originally I had Hermanson, and I've changed my mind since to Dave Branch, for a couple of reasons. First thing, I think the reach is interesting from Dave Branch, because he has a 79-inch reach and he does use it. Not that he doesn't like throw a jab and play at range, but he uses it coming in, and it's quite deceiving. If you look at the Luke Rockhold fight, Luke Rockhold was backing up, and I think he thought he was out of danger, and Dave Branch just jumped into a leaping right hook and stunned him and hurt him, and he could have finished if he landed a few more shots. He was finished by Cannonier in his last fight, but I thought he looked good all the way up until then. Cannonier does hit hard.
Yeah, coming down.
I just think he got caught. He got a little bit sloppy in the pocket. I don't think Hermansson's as big of a puncher. And I also think that Herman does a similar thing to Wonderboy, that they're completely different fighters, but he'll like leave his chin up and kind of move backwards, kind of just fade backwards rather than head movement. And I think Dave Branch could catch him, similar to what you're doing with Rockhold, and maybe get a finish. Again, it's kind of like the main event. I'm not very confident on it, but I'm going to go with Dave Branch to win, maybe by a finish. But yeah, it's a tough fight.
I agree, it is a tough fight. I am torn as well. I don't know. It's just
I had him wrote down originally, Hermansson.
Like I
changed.
MMA Mats, you know, he has a loss. Thiago Santos. Branch has a win. Diego Santos. You know, Talis good win against Talis Laitis, and his recent one against Gerald Meerschaert. It's almost like I'm a professional at this.
Probably wasn't even it.
Yeah, probably not. Just own it, you know.
Yeah, I'm confidence.
I'm torn, and like the thing is, like when you look a lot of the wins by Hermansson, a lot of them are on the ground and pound and stuff, and Branch is legit down there.
Probably better.
Absolutely, on the floor. Yeah, absolutely legit. I'm torn on it, and I have to say, like, in some way, I'm doing, I think, what you done. I was swinging that way, and like you've sort of talked me into the Branch as well. It's more so when you start looking at who he's fought, the losses that he's had, like as in the Cannonier, like he's a monster coming down, like, and he looked fucking fantastic in that fight. We all
actually look like a different person.
He 100% looked like a different person. We all went with Dave Branch in that one.
Yeah.
And sure, fuck it, let's stick with that.
I've lost money on Dave Branch before.
Yeah. I just think like Hermansson's, a lot of his wins come on the floor with either submissions or TKOs from ground and pound to strikes. And because that's normally how ground and pounds win with strikes. You've never beaten anyone with ground and pounds submissions.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah.
Let me tell you something about judging. That was said to me the other day. It was quite funny. I'm gonna go with Dave Branch, and I'm actually gonna say he's gonna get a submission.
Fair enough. Yeah.
Heel hook.
Okay.
Specific. He's like, all right.
2 minutes and 26 seconds of round number 2.
Got a full house here, lads. They're all going Dave Branch.
And here's the favourite.
You may pinch yourself here because Rob's picked another underdog.
Don't bet on this.
Pinch yourself at home.
I thought you were going with Thanos there, the way you done that. You went.
Yeah.
The hand was up.
People at home didn't see it, but when Rob originally went with his pick, I turned an old. I went,
yeah. What's going on here?
Rob picked another underdog, so Dave Branch is even money, and Hermansson is 8-11. I do think Branch is good value.
I'm surprised by that. Yeah,
I like Branch,
that's a bet.
Yeah, that is a bet.
For me, that's a legit bet. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so. Right,
moving on.
The menace Michael Johnson taking on Josh Emmett.
You broken though?
No, I'm thinking about it. I'm like, that's a bet. No, I'm thinking
it is a bet.
I'll stick it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna stick a tenner on that. So that's what I was thinking. Like, so I was going. I was mentally putting that in the little filing cabinet for Saturday night sitting at home on the Owl app on the phone. Yeah. So Josh Emmett takes on Michael Johnson. What's your thoughts on this one?
I think this is a really tough fight for Josh Emmett to come back. Josh Emmett,
very difficult fight.
Out after that horrific knockout.
That was the obviously fight talk effect as well.
Jesus, yeah, we had him on before. Super nice guy, and I hope he comes back and looks good. But man, he's been off for over a year. I was looking
it's good
up,
though. I like that as well though. I know what you're saying in some ways, but I actually like that he's been off as well.
Yes, but I read about the injuries that he had after that fight, and here's kind of a taste of an interview he gave. So he had a steel plate put in his face.
That's just bad either if you're taking shots.
That just makes you gonna hurt your opponent with his face.
Yeah, his nerve in his face was being compressed.
Jesus.
The muscle that his eye controls was impinged. And he had several fractures in his face. If you didn't see that fight with Jeremy Stevens landed an illegal knee, which was he was hurt. Josh Emmett was hurt from strikes, but he landed an illegal knee. The ref done nothing, and then landed a big shot that dropped him, and then landed two late ground and pound shots. The referee was a little bit late on that one, and it was pretty bad. It was one of the worst knockouts you'll see, and there's a reason why he was out for so long. So I think coming back in here after such a long time off against Michael Johnson, who is game, he's really, really game, and he's quick, especially at featherweight. His shots are really, really quick, and to come in and fight a guy with that straight left, and he catches everybody with that straight left. He caught Khabib with that straight left once. Brendan Norman will kill me. But he does.
Khabib was hurt.
Yeah, no, he wasn't. But he lands on everybody, and he probably will land on Josh Emmett. And it's difficult to say that Josh Emmett's going to come back, in fighting shape mentally after that time off. He probably will, but he might not be. It's just the reaction time straight away early could be a problem. Maybe, I don't know, but I just think it's a tough fight for him to come back to. I'm going to go with Michael Johnson to win, but I hope Emmett looks good, because that was a bad knockout.
Yeah, it was a hard knockout to look at, especially after we were talking to him here. He's just absolute super nice guy as well.
Is, yeah.
So it's weird when you interview somebody, isn't it? And they're like we interview a lot of people, they're probably going, these lads, we haven't seen one guest on this show. But don't worry, it's coming. We're just making sure.
Yeah, Danny.
Yeah, but we're not seeing loads the way we used to. So we're just building and making sure we have everything right, and then they'll be flooding back. Yeah. But back to the fight. It's weird. I get shit for this, and I always get shit for this. I think Michael Johnson's overrated.
All right.
And I do. I think he's had some really good wins, and he has had some really good wins. I'm not going to dispute that. Like, you look at what Dustin Poirier is doing right now, and he has a win over Dustin Poirier. But I just think when he gets pushed, he breaks most times. And I think Emmett just carries absolute the tools to beat him in this one. Time off is a long one. I'm glad he's been off that long though. After that type of knockout, it's the same way I hope Darren Till isn't seen until September or October. And I think Josh Emmett coming in, I think Alpha Male have got a point to prove. Hasn't been going well for Alpha Male lately, and he has the wins over Ricardo Lamas. That was fucking talking about finishes. That was phenomenal. I'd like to see Josh Emmett come back in that form of the Ricardo Lamas fight. I would like to see that, and I think if he is on point, he's got way too much for Johnson. Strength, power, a lot.
He's definitely a big puncher.
Johnson gets hit, and if them 4 ounces land, he's getting put out. So I'm gonna go with Josh Emmett, and I'm gonna go Josh Emmett by K of the O.
Okay. So I was looking at the odds earlier, and the Michael Johnson price is one that stood out to me straight away. Johnson's my pick of the night, to be honest.
Yeah.
At the prices, yeah.
Yeah.
I think he's been fighting at a higher level than Emmett. Over the years, he might not have won all of them. He's taken a few L's. But overall, I think he's been fighting at a higher level. Normality has been resumed, and Rob has picked another favourite. Johnson, it's a slight.
That's interesting though.
A very slight favourite though. So Johnson's 4-5, and Emmett is even money. So
not surprising, just because of the layoff.
I sort of me saying Michael Johnson's overrated. I don't mean that in a really bad way. I just think people build him up to more than he is.
Yeah, he's a good fighter, but you don't think he's quite
he's clearly a world class fighter fighting in the UFC for as long as he has been. But that sounds weird when you're saying that. But I just think I don't know. I just think when he comes up against that he and he's some great wins on his record. So I'm not shitting by any means on Michael Johnson. He is a class mixed martial artist, but I just think Josh Emmett's going to have more in this one. And this is a fun fight, and a lot of people are excited about this one. Michelle Watterson taking on Carolina. So what are we thinking of this one, Roberto?
Go quick on these ones, but my pick on this one is Carolina. I think it's a competitive fight. I think it's a good one. I just think that Watterson is quite small for the division, and she can get bullied around a little bit. And Carolina is very good in the clinch, especially. So I can see Carolina getting a clinch, roughing her up a little bit, using them elbows, because Watterson does her best work, at least on the feet. She's actually a really good grappler, but at least on the feet she does her work at range. Those teep kicks, the front kicks to the face. She almost uses her kicks like a jab, almost like Wonderboy as well. Bringing up Wonderboy a lot in this episode. But I just don't think that Carolina is going to let her fight at range. And I think once it gets into close quarters, into a clinch position, I just think Carolina is a bit too strong. You could see her when she fought Rose Namajunas, who was also pretty decent in the clinch, but she got chewed up in the clinch by Carolina. And I think we're going to see a similar fight. I'm going to go decision Carolina, just by outworking her in clinch range.
I agree. I think Michelle Watson, as you said, Sean, about Michael Johnson there a moment ago, I think Carolina's just been in there with the tougher fighters. She's coming off a heavy loss to Andrade. Like that was
some knockout. Yeah, so you have to consider it.
That was serious. So it'll be interesting to see will her tactics change. But the only losses on her record are Andrade, Claudia Cadea, and Joanna Jędrzejczyk. So do you know what I mean? She's fought some of the best in the world and has wins over some of the best in the world as well. A win, of course, over the reigning champion. I just think all round, I think her striking is better. I think Michelle Watterson sort of lands her strikes, but they're not landed with any demon intent. They're like scoring shots.
Yeah, you can see she was a point fighter at a point. Like she does have knockout ability, but it's not.
Carolina wants to like take her head off with some of her shots.
Yeah.
Sharp elbows in the clinch. I think she'll light her up in the clinch work, and I see Carolina getting this done. Probably got a distance, but I see her actually badly bloodying up Michelle Watterson that she won't have to. Yeah.
What's the
Sean, what's yours in this one?
I'm a big fan of Michelle Watterson. Don't like to see her getting bloodied up.
As a fighter,
Cool. It's some innuendo there. The odds say Carolina will win. It's hard to disagree with them. 8-13 on Carolina and 6-5 on Michelle. As much as I love to pick Michelle, I can't really.
Cool.
Just let's fly down. This time is getting in the essence of us here. The great Paul Craig, another former guest of the old show, takes on Rob, I'm going to try it, Kennedy Nzechukwu. Is it?
Don't know. I doubt it.
Nzechukwu.
Let's go Kennedy.
Good stuff for effort. No, well done.
Yeah, well done. A+.
So former guest against Kennedy. What have you got? I don't know. I'll be honest, I don't know a lot about Kennedy.
Yeah, I've watched him on Dana White's Contender Series, big knockout, very, very impressive. And you look through his career, has a lot of knockouts, powerful striker. And I think he's a guy that can give Paul Craig some problems. Paul Craig does have problems on the feet at times against big punchers. And I'm going to go with the undefeated fighter. I'm going to go with Kennedy to take this one. Paul Craig, if he gets on the floor, I haven't seen, again, I've just seen him on the Contender Series. He looked impressive, but we haven't seen much of his ground game. So Kennedy could be, like, if you look at him and you could say, all them knockouts, brilliant decisions, you're going to think most likely he doesn't have a great ground game. But you never know. But I'm going to go with him to win by strikes, probably early.
I'm going to go with Bergio on this one. I just think when you look at his losses, like Tyson Pedro and Cahill round 3, like they're big punchers. But it's sort of, when you see what they're doing now, like round 3 went on and he knocked out Saki, like, do you know what I mean? And Pedro was on a tear still, you know what I mean? So he's fought good guys early in their career. So I think them losses look, at the time they look better now, exactly. And then that home run, like he potentially could have been on a 4-fight losing streak, because the win over Makomed, that was like a second to go, he was losing that fight and he got the triangle choke. So I'm gonna say Craig going to get it to the mat and get a submission. He's a submission specialist, so he tends to keep the head up a little high. That's a tall man's foe, unfortunately. It looks with a lot of fighters, but Paul Craig, get it done. For me on that one. Odds, I'd say big favourite there is Kennedy, is it?
Yeah, so Kennedy's, I think he's the biggest favourite of the night, so he's 4-11 and Paul Craig is 15-8. So if you like Noel's pick of a submission, you'll probably get a big price on it.
Yeah. Nice.
Met Paul a good few times, a nice fella, you know what I mean? The old friendship pick, But he's up against it. There's no doubt about it. He's absolutely up against it. Opening the main card is Moraes taking on Yusuf. It's again 8-1 taking on 11-2.
I'm gonna go Moraes here. Good striker. Not the biggest knockout artist in the world. But he moves well. I like the look of him. And I haven't seen a whole lot of Yusuf, if I'm honest. I watched a few highlights. Again, he's a striker as well, so I think it's going to be on the feet. And from what I've seen from Moraes in his UFC fights and in his fights against Marlon Moraes in WSOF, good striker. I think he's again, I haven't seen a whole lot of the other guy, but I'm going to go with Moraes. But I wouldn't put money on it because I need to watch more on Yusuf.
The only fight I actually seen of Yusuf was knocking Dylan Tuco and Brave.
Oh, what?
It's the only fight.
Did you work for Brave? No,
I do work for Brave.
You do work for Brave.
That's that guy.
Yeah.
Return of Noel.
That's the only fight I've seen him, so I
Yeah.
don't know a lot
Yeah.
a lot about him.
Well done, John.
But what?
I just let. Do you work for Brad?
Oh, right. So that's the only fight I've seen.
Yeah.
I was tuning in watching that one. But yeah, I'm gonna go with him. Like he's power. He's a power knockout
you meet him,
fighter.
like?
I don't know. I don't. Yeah, I met him.
Yeah.
No, he's looking at his record.
Yeah.
I'm doing the Mike Perry pick. Remember I done the Mike Perry
Yeah,
pick?
yeah.
They're like, hey, no, all knockouts. He's a shadow. I'm gonna pick the shadow
Yeah.
on the card. So yeah, I'm going with
His
Yusuf
shadow
on
was
this
he was
one.
a shadow on the UFC card.
Yeah, the UFC website.
Yeah.
When they black someone out because
Specify.
they don't have a picture of them. So it was just like, Mike Perry, and then he turned up and was an absolute dick at the weigh-ins. Remember that?
You're like, oh shite.
I'm like, oh god,
Don't want this guy to
I
win.
picked the
And now he's
absolute-
hilarious.
Yeah, he's absolutely hilarious. So yeah, we're not gonna look at the
On the card.
undercard, but I done it. My picks were terrible, and my outsider picks the last time were really bad. So this time we'll go with David Branch, Josh Emmett, and go on. Sure, we'll go mad, and we'll throw Yusuf in there for a pick as well. So that's
Yusuf is 1-2 just because we didn't call that one out. So
Okay,
yeah,
Jesus.
so Rob actually picked another underdog. going
Jesus,
at
shocker.
Moraes.
So yeah, Yusuf, Emmett, and Branch is my
Jeez,
3
bro.
pick. But it's time to let's get the chalkboard out, get the marking out, get his folder out, and let's mark your homework. It's educating young Sean. Well, young Sean, get out your school bag and give us your homework. What did we think of Matt Hughes, Frank Trigg 2? Just for the people listening, this went down at UFC 52, Couture versus Liddell 2, or Lidl 2.
Chuck Liddell.
What do we think of Hughes and Trigg, Sean?
Mad, absolutely mad. So the key point I took from this was the first fight I'd ever seen of Matt Hughes, like we touched on last week. And the key point I took away was Matt Hughes is a military guy, right?
I think so. Yeah. He will
Like
be.
the top-
Yeah. Well, he's he was a big farmer.
Big farmer, yeah.
farmer
Yeah, he
in
talked.
Illinois.
I think they mentioned on commentary he was training at a military base or something. And fuck me, he has heart.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
From nearly being subbed to a whopper takedown, he lifts him up and
Runs across the
slams
cage.
Him, yeah, slams him and then gets the ground. He's ground and pounding, and then he gets the sub.
And the first fight as well was a rear naked
Yeah,
choke. So that was the.
They actually done a lot of build up on fight passage. They don't always doing a lot of the fights, and they showed the standing rear naked choke. Yeah.
He caught him with a groin strike at the start of the fight. Didn't he?
Yeah. And then and he almost Trigg chased him down.
Yeah.
Tried to finish and then had the choke pretty
Yeah.
much in. Hughes was turning pink.
He did have it in. It was
Yeah,
tight, like.
Hughes was turning
Yeah.
pink and then
picked
him up and just ran across the cage.
The
just
takedown was
crazy.
whopper.
It was amazing, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Like, it was like something out of a movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's because he picked him up and brought him across to the far side.
Exactly.
Of the cage.
Yeah.
And
I
it was
won-
like to have the energy to do that after that the sub been that tight, like.
Yeah, I wonder if I don't know if they said it on commentary or if they said it afterwards. Was his corner on the other side? Is that why
Yeah,
you done
I
it, or
think
was it
so,
just
yeah.
spectacle?
I think it was
Bit
bring him
both.
off his corner, bring
Yeah.
him over, dump him down. Yeah.
Cool.
Phenomenal fight. And
Yeah.
Matt Hughes is one that Matt Hughes was for so long was the best.
Oh yeah,
Up until GSP arrived on the scene.
Yeah.
Matt Hughes was like the man.
the man. Yeah, he's in trouble now, but
Yeah.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that one. I'll be looking up a few more Hughes' fights.
yeah, there's some good ones there. Definitely.
Our next fight took place at the Ultimate Fighter 9 finale. Rob was tuned in because Rob loves the Ultimate Fighter. This was in 2009 and it's seen the Carpenter versus the Nightmare, Diego Sanchez against Clay Guida in an unbelievable 3-round war. What did we think of this?
The start of this fight was crazy.
Yeah.
They both charged at each other and just planted their feet and fucking just started throwing shots. Like,
Yeah.
I was like, what is going on here? Clay Guida has a fucking chin. He was eating uppercuts, the flying knees. Sanchez's striking looked brilliant. Like, I haven't seen much of Sanchez personally. I seen his last fight, but his striking looked really good. He has a great chin as well.
Yeah.
They both took shots. The head kick.
The head kick, yeah.
The head kick to drop Guida, and he just
Yeah.
bounced back up. Like, he was down for a second, he
He's
just
a
bounced back up.
Yeah.
Like, what is?
Do you know what I love about Guida
He
as
didn't
well?
even try and grab him and take a second's rest. Though.
The hair adds
Yeah.
to it. Like
Yeah.
his hair flopping when he gets head
Yeah.
kicked. It
I
adds to it.
always said Clay Guida was like if they ever made a Street Fighter movie again,
Blanca.
would be Blanca.
Yeah.
The
big time.
way he moves is like
Yeah,
Blanca. Insane fight. So let's go out of popcorns.
Should make a different system. Popcorns is sounds like it's a movie.
Yeah, okay. Well,
Gloves
out
or
of
something?
5 championship rounds,
It's only 3
But
rounds
maybe
to
we'll workshop that and we'll come back with it.
Yeah. I thought the scoring was a bit iffy on that.
Yeah.
Gaethje Sanchez one. Yeah, I wasn't sure.
Mhm.
First round was a 10-8 for me, but I know 10-8.
10-8s didn't exist, Sean.
They didn't
You
exist
would
then,
have
yeah.
to. You
Well,
would
some-
have to have like it would have been like Mortal Kombat. Finish him.
Yeah.
To be even
remember
considered
the
a 10-8.
last one of the last fights we gave
Yeah.
you, it was Czech Congo and
Yeah.
Pat Barry, and Czech Congo got knocked out twice.
Yeah.
Probably still wasn't a 10-8 if it went on.
Yeah. Remember that? I was just laughing talking about Mortal Kombat. Remember he used to go finish him.
Yeah.
And everyone used to do all the mad shit, pull the heart.
Yeah,
down.
yeah.
I just used to go thump. Single jab. It's over.
Because I couldn't do anything
Brilliant.
else.
Yeah, couldn't do it. But so out of the two very different fights,
Yeah.
which was the one that you if you were to tell somebody to watch a fight, what would you tell them? We're almost making this a competition.
I know, yeah.
It's Gaethje and Diego Sanchez.
Bullshit.
Oh, that's due today.
But Matt Hughes is definitely someone I'll be going back and watching.
Yeah, brilliant. The Matt Hughes fights are
Here's an
phenomenal.
interesting my observation on
Newton
Sean since we've done this.
He loves a brawl.
Not even that. He likes an extended fight. He likes to see stuff
Yeah.
happen. You know, the
I'd
early
love-
finishes.
I'd
he
love-
Last week you gave him. What you give him last week?
Czech Congo and Pat Barry.
No,
No,
it was
no,
I
that
gave
was-
Czech
yeah,
Congo.
yeah, and I
and you
gave-
gave him a longer fight.
Yeah, I'd have loved another 2 rounds in that Diego and
He
Clay one.
He likes an extended brawl.
Absolute.
Yeah, I'm a
great stuff.
sick cue. And
Yeah.
I like watching people kick fuck out of each other for 5 rounds.
We'll keep
Yeah.
that in mind.
Yeah. So Rob, I now throw the floor to you. What's his homework for this week?
So we're gonna go back. I gave you a Pride fight before. We're gonna go back to Pride Fighting Championships. It's Pride 21 Demolition.
Oh, I like this.
It's the mustachioed one, Don Fry versus Yoshihiro Takayama.
Sexy Yama.
No, different guy.
Oh, what?
Takayama with a T, not Akiyama. Get ready for madness. Madness. Do you remember that fight?
Yeah.
Of course you do.
I haven't heard of either of those,
Oh.
but okay.
I'm looking for when this fight took place. Is what is killing me.
What year was that one, Rob? Sorry.
I'll get that over. Very unprepared. I just wrote down the event. So it's Pride 21. So it was the 21st Pride Fighting Championship event.
Oh, cheers. For
I had to clear that up.
Rob.
It was in 2002.
Oh, old school.
Yeah, old school.
I was 6 years old.
June 23rd, 2002. It was actually the main event.
Just gone 6 years old, is it?
Yeah, man, the main event. Fedor Emelianenko fought Semi Schilt on that as well. Semi Schilt's a good person to check. Daniel Gracie, who was crazy, was on the card as well. Henzo Gracie was on the card. Just watch the whole card. Watch the main event. Noel, have you sorted that out?
Yes. It's good airtime filling, Rob.
Yeah,
Well done.
no problem.
See, I'm a little that you. This is.
Just go for it.
Yeah, no, but it's an era that he potentially could have seen this.
Well, we'll
fight.
see. We'll see.
Because like it's not that long ago.
All right, go on.
It's Robbie Lawler against Rob.
Rory McDonald.
No.
No, Noel knows I love that fight.
Oh,
No.
okay.
So it's not going to be that one.
Nick Diaz.
No.
I'm giving away picks that I could potentially give. Just give it.
It's Robbie Lawler, Carlos Condit.
Excellent fight.
Have you seen that fight?
No, I haven't seen it, but I've heard about it.
Oh, okay.
But haven't
That's
seen
fine. That's fine. He hasn't seen it.
You've probably heard about it by me. So this took place at UFC 195. So it's not that long ago.
Yeah.
So
Bit recent, yeah.
the fact that Rob is giving you one that's a good bit back, I said.
2002.
Was
yeah,
that
yeah.
was that Condit's comeback? Remember he was out for a while and he came back then. Was that his comeback or
I'm
was
not
that
sure.
after that?
No, no.
No, okay.
No, it was his comeback. I think was against.
It actually wasn't that long ago.
He had a
was
few
it?
comebacks.
Yeah, he has
Yeah.
had a few comebacks. This is it's a great fight.
a great fight.
Be interested to see what it is. So that's the homework. Is Carlos Condit, Robbie Lawler, fresh enough, and
Takayama.
Takayama
And Don Fry.
and Don Fry. So Rob is giving you legit like old school, and I'm giving you new school, but an excellent fight.
Good skill.
Excellent.
So that's educating young Sean, and now let's get to that
Thanks, lad.
beautiful part of the week. The week is all love and crave. It's time for the weird and wonderful Sean's news.
So there was a lot of cards on this week. Bellator was on, KSW was on, and KSW as well. We're going. A couple of heavyweights, a big knockout.
By the courtesy of the powerful Sean Sheehan.
Indeed.
Superior MMA.
Holy shite.
Hit back on that again.
KSW's promotion. KSW.
He just flicks it up, doesn't he?
Yeah, a little.
Oh, it's like a question mark. Is it go back there?
Yeah, it's a question mark. Yeah.
Question mark kick. Yeah.
One more time. Roll it there, Roshin. KSW.
Brilliant.
I wish they gave the other angle so you could see
The
the other
actual question mark.
Yeah. That was beautiful.
I think-
Man, KSW put on some cards.
Yeah, KSW, their production is fucking phenomenal.
Yeah.
When we were there, it was like fucking Pride. The opening sequence to this was unbelievable as well, apparently. Yeah, that is a beautiful
was
knockout. Who was the knockout? Who was, sorry, I missed the names.
I missed them as well.
Christ on a bike.
I did see a reaction to
Yeah.
that tweet as well. It was someone said, I think I may have just found religion with that knockout.
Yeah, beautiful.
Brilliant, yeah.
Beautiful.
So
I see.
next we're going
Me
to
too.
Bloody Elbow.
Bloody elbow.
Oh, looks like Daffy Duck.
Dagestan to build arena shaped like Khabib
Oh my
Nurmagomedov's
God.
Furry Papaka.
Papaka.
Okay, is inspired by the UFC lightweight champion. It looks like Daffy
It
Duck
looks-
or something.
it looks ugly.
It looks like Daffy Duck is bending over to pick something up.
Yeah, it's not very it's not very aesthetically pleasing. Like, I mean,
Nope.
if you were like the committee around there, you wouldn't want that in your area.
Yeah, the whole thing is like is build something that fits in with the skyline.
Yeah.
Put big marshmallow.
Yeah.
Big
Yeah.
marshmallow.
It is. Imagine you didn't know what it was. It's like, what? Why is there a marshmallow? Why is there like a...
But it'd be fantastic if you said, so where are the Kings of Leon playing tonight? Send me a location.
Yeah. Brilliant.
You set them up, I'll knock them down. Yeah,
It's very ugly.
pig ugly.
Yeah.
And if you're a cleaner, nightmare. Think of the grime that would get stuck in the cavities there.
Yeah.
Nobody thinks of the cleaner.
Nobody thinks of the cleaner.
Yeah, bad idea. Nice idea, as in, yeah.
Yeah, it's cool. It's cool, but...
Ugly as fuck.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Very weird idea. Like, who came up with that? Who was thinking, do you know what? I'll build a stadium that looks like Khabib's wig.
So that's...
But it doesn't look like what this show here.
Yeah, Khabib doesn't have a big pointy thing
Yeah, what's
coming
that?
out of it. Like,
What is that
weird.
part?
Don't know.
It sort of looks like a ball of ice cream in a bowl. More so than
It
Khabib's.
does actually, yeah.
paprika, yeah.
Or a ball of ice cream in a boat.
Yeah. An ice cream bowl.
Ice cream boat.
You get a bow. Never get a bow off the ice.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I did.
Yeah, with a screwball at the bottom of the chin. Gives an old chewing gum there.
Anyway, we'll move it on to the next one. The next one is my favourite. I only came across this today. And so obviously Wonderboy was knocked out at the weekend, and it's just a comparison of
Jeez, I hope Stephen Thompson doesn't listen to this show. Every segment we've got, Wonderboy was knocked out.
We're never getting them on.
have
So it's just a
moments,
comparison of people after they've been knocked
Stood
out.
Rob up.
Yeah.
So can we get a bit of volume on this, Rob?
Bit of volume. Here we go. Oh. Well,
We'll restart.
Unmute it.
Yeah. Help.
Oh, he's gone big screen too. Oh.
Full HD
That
definition.
man tested positive.
Ass off, bro. I'm about to fucking cry.
Steroids.
I wanna come
This is terrible.
come back as soon as possible.
This is awful, show.
Keep watching.
I will keep my head up. I am a professional and I am professional.
It's okay, Joanna.
It doesn't hurt. I just woke up in the back. I can remember a dang thing. Did I teleport back here? Like, what's going on? And everybody's like, you got knocked out. Yeah, at least it wasn't a draw, Will. You got that right. What I do?
That is
awesome.
fucking genius.
Who was
So
that?
I can't. I think it was
Fight Library? Is that them?
That's retweeting.
No,
it.
they
Oh.
posted it was MMA Kings or something like that on
I'm
Twitter.
gonna go follow them.
Yeah, it was
immediately.
brilliant, like, can we
Phenomenal
Can we
work.
play it again?
Yeah, go on. Give it one more. Give it one more. That's hilarious. But it's terrible looking at these. Like,
I
it's
worked
terrible.
my ass off, bro.
I've no sympathy for him now.
I
isn't
juiced
it
myself
crazy?
to the
About
gills,
fucking
man.
cry.
Yeah, it's true actually.
Mm.
I wanna come
Junior.
come back as soon as possible.
Sorry, Junior. Don't mean to laugh.
Sorry for your loss.
I will keep my head up. I am
It's the
a
music they
professional.
put with it as
Speaking
well.
of fashion, though, Sean likes fashion. Joanna doesn't have it.
Nah, that top is dirt.
It doesn't hurt. I just woke up in the back. I can remember a dang thing. Did I teleport back here? Like, what's going on? And everybody's like, you got knocked out. Yeah, at least it wasn't a draw, Will. You got that right. What I do?
I fucking love Wonderboy.
Isn't he a bit like
Fuck it off.
just in that? It's a bit Forrest Gump like, isn't it? Like, you know, I just woke up back here like that's a box of chocolates. That's phenomenal. Fair play to Stephen Wonderboy Thompson.
Man, that was very funny. I love that though when he was talking to his outfit. He's like, and he was a little guy as well. That's very funny.
Absolutely.
Well done.
Phenomenal stuff. And just in
thanks,
case
Sean.
you haven't watched the fights this week, you might have been spoilered throughout every segment. Stephen Wonderboy Thompson was knocked out by Anthony Pettis.
Boy, he took it well.
Took it well. But it's that.
Took it on the chin.
The reason why that's
The
reason why that's
Sorry,
so
Stephen.
good is because they have the sad music and then they play the real.
That music was brilliant.
The
Yeah.
junior one kills me. It sounds like something from a crap 70s movie.
That's what I was going to say. It was like a Tommy Wiseau movie, like
Yeah.
The Room or something.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Talking about brilliant, this has been brilliant, gentlemen. It's been a few good fights. Episode 4. Late in the day to say it, but if you haven't already, hit subscribe, hit the bell so you get the notifications. A shout out to
Conor Man.
Look at
Connor Marin, who done
One of my
this.
good mates.
He's done a nice piece of art of the Rob done a little bit of work and he took it and said, yeah, I'm
Ran
going to
with
do
it.
this for my school project, plagiarised it and done it up nicely. But the fan art is fucking awesome.
Beautiful.
Getting
It's
something
actually
like that. Awesome work, appreciate that, and we appreciate you when you hit subscribe. Go on to iTunes, we're available there too if you're on the go and you don't want to sit and take in the beauty that is Sean Taylor. You were expecting me to say you.
I wasn't,
you're
no.
so vain. And if you want to listen to us on the go, we're available on all formats, iTunes, Android, all that. Go and leave a review, only if it's 5 stars. But until next week, episode 5, thanks for tuning in and see you all next year. So apparently if you press this button somewhere here, it subscribes and you get all the notifications for the show. So hit that button there.
You have to click the bell though to get the notifications
Here.
down the bottom.
Make sure you hit it and they get the ringer things because Rob didn't know. So it's the button
Yeah.
there or there.
It's somewhere roughly around that area.